Praise God. It's a little song that says, praise is what I do when I want to be close to you. I lift my hands in praise. Praise is who I am. I will praise you while I can. I'll bless you at all times. I vow to praise you through the good and the bad. I'll praise you whether happy or sad. I'll praise you in all that I go through, because praise is what I do. Ooh, 'cause I only belong to you. Help me stay. Praise is what I do. Yeah, yeah. Close to you. I praise you. Oh, yeah. Praise is I will praise you while I praise you. How you I love to praise you through the good and the bad. I'll praise you whether happy or sad. I'll praise you in all that I go through, because praise is what I do. 'Cause I belong to you. Now you have to look this up, but there's a verse that y'all might not know. It says, praise is what I do when I need to talk to you. I'll bless you at all times. Yes, praise is who I am. I will praise you, Lord, yeah. I'll bless you, yeah. Oh, I love to praise through the good and the bad. I will.
Well, let's bless the name of the Lord together again. Hallelujah. God bless our praise team. Thank you for ushering us into the presence of the Lord. And of course, we thank God for the word that has already been shared by our own elder Senator Bell. We thank God for him. I greet all of you in the spirit of love and peace. Good to see you in the Lord's house once again. I'm going to ask those of you who are over to my far left, if I can get you guys to move in. And those of you, who are to my far right, if I can get you to move over, it just makes for much more intimate setting when we're in closer proximity to each other. And, those of you who secured your books, wonderful. If you still need a book, we have a few guys, just one. Quite a few, great. If you still need a book, just raise your hand. Okay, I see a few hands raised. They're only $5. We're not aiming to profit from the books, at least not monetarily. We're just basically letting it go at cost. Good to see you, Elder Lofton. Elder Lofton leads our college ministry activity. He lives here in Atlanta, UGA grad, lives in Atlanta, but spends all of his waking hours seemingly in Hatfield. But good to have you here with us tonight, man. Elder Lofton, do you need a book? Yeah, raise your hand. So we can, they're only $5. I still see a few hands raised. Yeah, okay, great. You can then go, you guys need, and I think we will have a credit card machine. Since the usher has a credit card machine, if anyone needs to pay me a credit card, but they're only $5. And if the usher can, and if it's more advantageous to do it at the end of the service, I don't know if we have a way to keep up with all the names, but Yes, that works. Well, the only reason we didn't go that route initially is because we lose a small percentage of whatever's paid. Yeah, that's why we didn't do that initially.
He is fine.
But, if we go ahead and give y'all the book, y'all want to see Kim, Deacon Usher and after service, be good for it, right? If not, then we'll do what we did last week. Deacon Mack just paid for everybody's book in the sanctuary. At least he said he had it when I asked him. All right. But good. It's good to see all of you. As I indicated on last week, it's encouraging to see people come out on Wednesday evening. A few years ago, many pastors were wondering, was the Wednesday night format obsolete? The midweek service, just because many people were not coming out. But to see numbers like this is quite encouraging. So again, I commend all of you. Tonight, we're going to try to get a lot more reading done than we did last week. I think we're going to cover about 2 pages on last week. But man, the experience was incredible. Our group sessions were just phenomenal. Matter of fact, the momentum even from last week, Wednesday, it carried us right on into Sunday. And I got incredible feedback all throughout the week as to how impactful that was. As a matter of fact, when we ended Bible study, we went over a bit. I asked you guys to connect with someone that you did not know. Just do it for a quick 3 minutes, and that turned into about 15 minutes or so. How many of you guys had an opportunity to meet somebody that you did not know last week? Wonderful. And of course, this was all part of our exercise. Raise your hands again if you will. All right, good, okay. All right, you probably weren't expecting this, but I'm going to ask a few of you to come up and tell us something about the person that you met on last week. All right, Joyce, you want to? We have, let's get your mic, Joyce.
My person isn't here tonight, but it's Arlene Smith. Sister Timothy.
That's right.
Arlene Smith hit her head back in November of last year. She had surgery on the 16th of January. And she had brain surgery. She didn't realize she got clogged, caused a blood clot when she hit her head back in November. But however, she testified as to how good God is to her. She was able to go back to work in March. She works for the Housing Authority up in Athens.
That's correct.
Yes. And again, she testified on how good God is to her. My second person is Brother Huff. I don't know if he's here tonight. But anyway, Brother Huff, James Huff, I talk to James every Sunday, but don't know James. Brother James Huff, he has no wife, no kids. He has 3 exotic fish. See, I know and anyway, he works for American Freight and they repair appliances. Did you know that? I didn't know that, and I've been knowing him for
Forever, right? Oh, yeah.
yeah, been around a long time.
Now, Ms. Oliver was watching online. You want to say something? And let's give God praise for Ms. Oliver's testimony. Thank you, Joyce. Good job. Anybody else? Anybody else? Now, a lot of you guys raise your hand. Now that you got to do this piece, you're like, I don't know. All right. Xavier, I think you had your hand raised. You met someone last week, didn't you? You remember that name?
I have horrible names, but she's sitting right there.
All right, well, come on up. We're going to get you guys reacquainted. That's why we're doing this. All right. I'm going to share something with you guys after we finish this exercise.
All right, I have horrible names, and I'm an English teacher, which is horrible. But she is from the west side of Georgia, LaGrange.
Have her stand
Please stand up, man.
up. Ask her that real quick.
What's your name? Miss Jefferson. I can't call her that.
Yeah.
Miss Jefferson.
Yeah.
Miss Jefferson's from LaGrange, Georgia. She is a deacon here at the church. I think she said she's been here for a few years.
Oh,
And,
forever.
she's a native from Georgia, like myself. We realized we both are native Georgians, and we could possibly be related. And I think that's all I do.
Now, tell us, are you new here?
Yes, I've been here about 7 months.
Okay, all right. Tell us a few quick things about you, because a lot of us, I just happen to remember because you were standing up in the back last week, and that's how your name is.
I am from Atlanta, born and raised. I grew up at Mount Elford Baptist Church with Dr. R. White. My father started pastoring when I was like 12 or 13. And so when I graduated high school, they moved to Cartersville to be close to his church. I'm a history teacher for the last 16 years. I've been preaching for the last 15, 16 years. I'm a graduate of ITC twice, so seminary twice. I am the doting uncle of a niece who is 10 or 11, Layla Marie. She's named after me, her middle name is Akhlai. And sister of my best friends.
Bless you. Come on, let's give Xavier a great hand. Bless you, man. Teach music returning in the school again.
I'm at Charlotte Academy here in DeKalb County.
All right. Do you know Mary Matt? Have you ever met Mary Matt? I want you to Google that thing when you get on. After the service tonight, I want you to, that's somebody you need to know in your realm of education. Good. Someone else who wants to share? Come on, don't be bashful. Sometimes I call you Sheila, sometimes I call you Sister Sheila. You're Sheila. You're Sheila. Sheila, come on up here, because come on here. You go.
I met Gerard. Gerard moved here, first of the year from Baltimore. He has 2 children, and he loves his church. Two. That's good, 2 children, 2. And he loves his orientation class with, where is she?
Margaret.
Bella Margaret, yes.
So she kept going in, but she
Yeah,
was
and then I also reconnected with Chris.
okay.
I met Chris at KG.
Is that right? Wow. Okay.
I didn't know his name at the time, but I had seen him here at church. Yes, Chris is in Kennesaw Avenue.
That's right. That's right.
So, and then I also reconnected with Denard. Yes. No, Kennard. And so he asked a lot of questions for me, how he ended up here, and who brought me here, and Chipper was the person that invited me.
Wow. You have Chipper's number? Yeah, text Chipper right now and tell Chipper we said this. Great job. Come on, let's give Sheila a hand. Wonderful. One more person. Let's hear from one more person. Gail, who did you meet last week? Remember? Maybe Gail sang that song and wrote that. Gail wrote that song. I believe Gail wrote that song. You remember who you met last weekend?
No, but I sat in behind Deacon Kennard and his wife, and I really didn't know that was his wife. As long as he's been here, and I just didn't.
So did you meet her? Did y'all make one?
We smiled and talked.
That wasn't the assignment. Did you meet anybody?
No, I did not meet anybody.
All right, I'll give you an opportunity after the service tonight
Okay,
to give it another shot.
okay.
Marcus, did you meet somebody last week?
Yes,
Who did you meet?
Brother Clarence, I don't know if he's here. Brother Clarence parents have been coming to New Beginning for years. I have just never engaged him. So he's a New Yorker, I believe he's from Brooklyn. I don't know if he's the wrong borough. I believe he's from Brooklyn, though. He's Venetian. He stays down 78. We didn't really talk about work that much, but it was just good to actually talk with him and to learn his name because I've been seeing him for years.
Yeah. Why what we did the last 10 minutes or so of Bible study last week, why is that so important? Knowing each other, okay. I'm fishing. There's a key word I'm fishing for. Fellowship, what's the other? Welcoming, I'm still fishing. Hospitable communication, I'm still fishing. Relationships. That was your mom?
Someone over here said.
They whispered and you said it now for it. All right. Bruce, why you sitting so far in the back, man? Huh? You see me better from back there? Relationships within a church body is key. I mean, we could do a whole Bible study on that alone. The relationship, how you connect with others is instrumental in terms of the overall success and the well-being of a church. Because things happen as you engage, especially after you've been around for a while. But based upon the depth of the relationship that you establish, you're able to rebound quicker. Or someone can kind of catch you when you make your way out the door. That's like going out the door, never to come back again. Relationships are instrumental in terms of preventing that. Cheryl's that's you in the back? Yes. We may need to get you a mic though. Or else you want to come up. Yeah, come on up. And then we'll hear from Elder Libby. I'm going to share a quick story with you guys, and we're going to jump into our book. All right, yeah. Wonderful.
Thank you. Praise God for being here. I wasn't here last Wednesday night. I had to work, but I did tune in online and listen to everything. I commented, and I was all but then on Sunday, with the message on Sunday, after service, I was standing here. Steve Swearing walked by. I spoke to him. I could see his spouse looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I went home, I was very convicted because I didn't take the time to walk over to see and to say hello. Even to Christmas. So I thank God for the Holy Spirit. I thank God for this.
Wonderful.
This is new.
So what you going to do on Sunday?
I was hoping she was here tonight.
Yeah.
And I actually wanted a phone number so I could call. I was hoping somebody in the Memphis here tonight, but I don't see them. But on Sunday.
Wonderful. Good. Certainly, Father, make your way over to her and yeah, good. He may be watching tonight too. So. All right. Elder, you just share with me that you said you was watching. All right. Good stuff. True story. When we joined here 23 years ago, the following week, I got a call. And when I said hello, I could tell immediately, the gentleman who I was talking to on the line, he's real cool, real smooth. Hey, I'm just calling because you did a sign to me. I said, all right, sir, what's your name? He said, they call me Ponder, but my name is Charles. That was 23 years ago. And to this day, Charles Ponder is still my deacon. And he's here tonight. Good to see you. But listen, that the conversation we had that day, it was so impactful. Man, we may have talked about 15 minutes, but he really, just kind of went out of his way to welcome us to the church and kind of giving us a lay of the land a bit, say, hey, if you ever need anything, I'm your point of contact here at the church. And, obviously I never forgot it. Relationships are important. I think I want, good to see you, Elder Carter. Come on over. Kim, Trace, I think you guys are selling books for us, but yeah, y'all come on over and mingle on in with the people. Yeah. But relationships are important. All right? If a church wants to thrive and grow, there must be great emphasis placed on how we interact with each other, how we care for one another, how we follow up with each other. Do we really know each other? Elder Evans shared a beautiful example, because oftentimes we do kind of speak to people and, really we don't know them. And so, like you said, was it Huff, James Huff, you've been known, seeing James for years. And in a large church too, it can happen. That can happen a bit. But I've often said that large churches aren't really as big as they appear to be. I think it was you, Elder Black, who used to say back in the day, New Beginning really consists of the faithful 800 or something like that. Remember that phrase you used to say? You remember that?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly.
But you remember saying something along those lines. So yeah, I remember you saying that. That was 100 years ago. I remember you used to say that. And there's so much truth to that, because when you really begin to break yourself down into smaller components, and as you get to know people, you'll realize, yeah, I got a lot of people here, but it don't feel like I'm in a big room of people that I don't really know. Make sense? All right, let's read a little bit tonight. Y'all tell me, did anybody tell Jahari I was looking for her last week? Jahari, she read for us for about 2 weeks, and we missed her on last week until I was looking for her. Right, I think Tracy, you sit in Jahari's seat, but it's okay. Actually, if we get to page 12, we're gonna talk about that tonight, sitting in somebody else's seat. But just tell her I was looking for her. Just tell her. Page 7. Page 7. I believe that's where we left off at. Midway where it says, I won't give you all the details. Anybody wants to read? Any volunteers? Elder Marshall? Deacon Mack volunteered you, Doug. Matter of fact, Deacon Mack, that's going to be your deacon. Until you decide to join, Deacon Mack will be your deacon, all right? Yeah, he good. Go ahead.
So, by the way, when we interview members of this church, they consistently proclaim a similar message. Our church is very friendly, and their church is friendly. As long as you know people, as long as you are on the inside, as long as you are not a guest.
If you would highlight or underline that portion right there. Our church is very friendly, and their church is friendly, as long as you know people. As long as you're on the inside, as long as you're not a guest. Go ahead, Bill.
By the way, Bethany and Ryan had a big fight with the Wago church. They were not happy campers. Ryan told us he would never return to that church. In fact, he told us he would never go to church again. Sadly, I believe him. The myth of the welcoming church. Therein lies the problem with most churches. Churches perceive that they are are a friendly church because the members are friendly to one another.
All right, underline that if you would. Or highlight it, whatever you brought with you. Al, you got your book, man? You good? Okay. I think that's it. Go ahead, Elder.
But they don't think about walking in the shoes of first-time guests. They don't look at their facilities, their parking, their website, or their friendliness from a guest perspective.
I like that. I like that. They don't look at their facilities, their parking, their website, or their friendliness from a guest perspective. All right. Keep reading them.
We learn not to ask church members if the church is friendly to find out if their church really is friendly. Most church members have forgotten what it's like to be a first-time guest. They now have established relationships in the church. They love their church. Their biases tell them their church is great. But
Let's pause right there if you would for a moment. I think I shared a few weeks ago, one of me and First Lady, one of our favorite spots to go eat at Papa Do's. The food is always slanted, even after you waited 4 hours.
Right.
Right? But Jonathan, if we're blessed, Jonathan, we'll run into him and he'll be our waiter while we're there. So Jonathan, let me ask you this, and just vision. I am really. What's the secret sauce at Papa Do's? Is it the food? Because the food is great. But what is it? What's happening behind the scenes? What's an intangible that's happening behind the scenes that keep making people want to come back? Are you at liberty to share?
Like you said, it is the service.
Let's get your mic, because you're talking to it already. Unless you can walk up to one of them if so desire. Yeah, right. This is the way. What's the secret sauce at Papa Do's?
But like you said, it's the service and basically it's our training. I mean, we do a lot of in-depth training more than a lot of restaurants do. We put people through like a 2-4 week training. And that's one of the things that we emphasize. Hey, you greet and speak to any and everybody who passes by. If you're at 5 feet, is 5 feet from someone, it's hello, how are you doing? Can I help you? That's everybody.
Oh, even if you're not assigned to
Even
their
if
table.
that's not your table, if you walk by a table and you can see them sitting there and no one's greeting them, you go and greet them.
So if you're a deacon and you walk by the mother's board table, you still gotta greet them. But that ain't my table. Hey, Brother Murphy, keep it lit every week. Keep it lit. Go ahead, John.
I learned that a long time before I went to Papa. I used to work at Ritz Carlton, and they have some of the best training as far as customer service. And they established that when you walk in that door, I don't care who you were, you said good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. Anybody that passed by your way, it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening. They can be the big wig or the little wig. They can be somebody washing the floors. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And so I learned that it made me feel like I was somebody. And they also established that you should, anybody, if she came in there as a guest and she had an issue, she didn't have to go find somebody to help her out. Right? Person mopping the floor was empowered to do something about it.
Wow. That's nature. Thank you, sis. So it's just not the food, back to our original question as it relates to coming to Papa Do's. There's so many other intangibles that are focused upon that keep people coming back. All right, let's not lose sight of what Elder just shared with us. Share a quick story. We're going to do some more reading. This happened around, it was around my junior year in college, so I'm going way back, like undergrad. One Sunday, a friend and I, and, well, it's three of us, and her mother, we went to visit this church. And on our way to the church, we got lost. Okay? So it's like, okay, we're lost. We're not going to be able to find the church that we intended to go to. But we saw another church. It was like, okay, we'll just go to this church, just to say it. Okay, we went to church. So we went in, and nobody spoke to us. I mean, they were like, matter of fact, we came in, they looked at us like, do y'all really want to be here? They gave us this long, hard stare. So I was like, okay, we got past the long, hard stare. And I remember just the awkwardness as the pastor got ready to preach. Everything was just awkward. And when he preached for that 30, 35 minutes or so, everything got better. Everything got better for about 35 minutes. Yeah, as soon as he finished preaching, it went right back to what it was prior to. Now, and it was what made it even more interesting. And again, this happened, man, I was like 20, but I never forgot it. When church was over, nobody came and spoke to us. Nobody came and said, well, how y'all doing? Tell me, what led y'all here today? No one. No. Well, I mean, again, we were lost. We just happened to, we saw a church pulled into it. But they didn't know the condition of our soul. They had no idea, you know. We could have been somebody who was traveling, looking for a random church to say, you know what, we want to pay X amount of dollars for your mortgage. Anyway, but they looked at us as if you in the wrong place. That's exactly what it was. That's exactly what they were saying. Now again, everything got beautiful when the preacher, but I could tell, it's like, man, the culture here, these are some rough people. Because there was a little arguing, kind of like, it was like a fussing type of situation right before he preached. He's like, well, yeah, that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it. And when he preached, it got beautiful. As soon as he stopped preaching, it went right back to what it was. True story. Yeah, this is Gold, ma'am. It was in South Carolina. It wasn't terribly far from Greenwood. Well, no. But yeah, they do that on the street in New York. But now there are a lot of churches in New York and large metropolitan areas that are very friendly. But yeah, when you're out on the street now, you don't speak to folk when you're adults. No, you don't do that. But no, this was in South Carolina. It wasn't terribly far from Greenwood where I went to school. But it was just awful. But I said that to say this. You just never know. You just never. The Bible says we entertain angels unaware. You just never know. You never know. So whenever we see new people at church or in what we found out last week, people that we've been seeing for years, but never taking an opportunity to really get to know who they are, take a few moments. Matter of fact, we're gonna end early again tonight so that we can. And I had forgotten. And Gail gonna tell us next week who she talked to tonight. All right, Gail, we're getting ready for next week. But we're gonna carve out some time to do that again at the end of our session tonight because it's so important. Yes, ma'am. I believe.
Might not always remember what you do, but they will always remember how you made you feel.
it's okay. They'll never forget. Never forget. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
I was at a church in the city, I'm not gonna call the name of the church.
Call the name. I want to know the name of the church. I want to know the pastor name. No. Don't do it. Don't do it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But, I was at this church in Decatur, and I got there early because I knew it was gonna be a crowd, so I got there early. So one of the mothers, she came and I sat in, she came, and I was wondering why she kept standing there. So I kind of like moved, so she said, "No, baby." She said, "This is my seat." And I said, "Okay." She said, "I've been in this church so many years, and I've been in, this has always been my seat." So I'm like back and forth like, don't sound right. So then the usher seen us, talking, and I thought she would at least come over there and say, I'm a visitor, and said, "Well, no, I had to move." I had to move because she told me, she said, "You gonna have to move to the side." And I moved, and I could not even enjoy the service because I was like, how rude she can be, I'm a visitor here. And I said, "Now, if you've been in the church all that long, you should have some kind of, I'm supposed to have some kind of, you know what I'm saying? But it really doesn't, my spirit is, I just couldn't enjoy the service because of the attitude. So that's why, anyone coming to the beginning, we always have that warm welcome. Because that's what our bishop was, he was a warm welcome person. And we came out of a loving church. So when I go to a church and I don't be greeted by someone, I kind of question that church,
That church, when you had that experience, did you ever go back?
Oh, no.
Let's do a little bit. I saw some hands pop up. I promise you that we'll get to you. I want us to make a little bit more headway into the book because actually I believe it's page 12 that specifically talks about someone's city, in what is perceived to be, MIC. So, anyone other than Elder Marshall wants to read? You guys want him to continue? You say Carter wants to read a little bit? All right. Let's get you the mic. Where are we with our reading? It's on page 8, right? Third paragraph. Okay, yeah. Third paragraph on page 8. Go ahead, Obi.
But many church members and leaders are wrong. When we asked hundreds of guests about their experiences visiting churches, it was not a pretty picture. We asked specifically why they did not return to a particular church. Here were their top 10 responses.
All right, let's listen up. Matter of fact, if you have your book in front of you, kind of lean into the book there, right? You ever read a good book and you get to a really good section? It's almost as if you can't hear what you're reading, you kind of lean into it. Listen to these top 10. Go ahead.
Number 1, the stand and greet time in the worship service was unfriendly and awkward. When I first saw this response coming in by the hundreds, I was surprised. And as I dug deeper, I discovered there were 2 issues with the stand and greet time. First, some guests just felt awkward with the exercise. It seemed to be a ritual more for the members than for the guests. Second, a number of guests did not mind the stand and greet time, but they felt left out during the welcome. I'm sorry. Either they were totally ignored or they were inundated with what they perceived were superficial greetings. I'll unpack this issue more in the next chapter. Number 2, unfriendly church members. Most church members do not view themselves as unfriendly, but they.
Matter of fact, stop right there. You sit beside somebody you love? Do you like them? Like them and love them? All right. Look at what Jesus smiled and asked him, "Are you friendly?" Come on, answer. Now wait for a response. See? Okay. Now, look back up this way. How many of y'all just asked that to the person sitting beside you and you really feel like they wasn't telling you the truth, that they really ain't friendly, raise your hand. Go ahead, tell them. All right. So everybody was sitting beside a friend. I saw a few eyes get crossed at somebody right there. All right. So we good? Everybody sit beside a friendly person? Go ahead, Elder.
They do not see themselves from the perspective of church guests. They don't usually speak to guests because they don't know them. And the church members usually retreat to the comfort of the holy huddles of the people they do know.
Underline that. That thing hit me when I read it first. Yeah. What's another word we use for holy huddles? Cliques. They retreat to their holy huddles. Yeah. All right, go ahead, Elder Carter.
3, unsafe and unclean children's areas. This response generated the most emotional comments. If your church does not have clear safety and security procedures, and if the children's area does not appear clean and sanitary to the guests, do not expect young families to return to your church. Indeed, as word about your children's area grows, do not expect young families to visit the first time.
Amen. That's so key. I like that. Put stars around. Parents don't really care how great all the other aspects of your church may be. If a section of your church that houses youth and children, if it's not sparkling, then yeah, they gonna turn it in. And I know we're live, but what I'm about to say is kind of something that we say in private, but it's quite known. We have a lot of what are labeled or considered to be upwardly mobile African Americans who are deeply affluent, who have left the Black church in droves. And I've seen it even in Athens. And I'm like, man, you're going where now? And you say to yourself, okay, they ain't got no good preaching over there, you know. You gotta say that thing. But they have a bagging facility for the kids. And they got all the wonderful things that the children like, and the children engage in it, they love it. And the parents are like, listen, I may have grown up in a charismatic environment, but my kids love it over there. And so, guess where they go? Okay, so yeah, whatever the area of your church that the kids are going to spend time, that's, you know, it has to be extra special, if you will. It really does. Go ahead, Elder Carter.
Number 4, no place to get information on the church.
Do we have any greeters here tonight? Who's serving our greeter? Brenda, any other greeters? Erica, I'm sorry, Erica, I just had a blank moment just for me. It was coming to me. Erica, Brenda, any other greeters? All right, you guys are incredible people. That's why I was going to pause and say that. We thank God for our greeters. Make people feel wonderful when they come into the church, all right? Go ahead.
Guests are trained by their experiences to look for a central welcome and information center. But here is the catch. Some churches did not have any such information center. Some churches did have them, but you couldn't find them. And some churches have them in good visible locations, but they had no one manning the welcome center. Guests told us they were hesitant to go to an unmanned welcome center. The church might as well not have a information and welcome center if no one will be there to help guests. Number 5, bad church website. Nearly all the church guests checked the church website before they attended a worship service. Even if they decided to visit the church after looking at a bad website, they visited the church with a negative disposition. The 2 critical items guests want to see on the church website are the physical address of the church and the times of the services. It's just that basic. Keep in mind this reality. The church website is now the front door of the church. Will guests feel welcome when they come to your front door? We will look at this issue in detail in chapter 3.
If you would highlight some of those, underline some of those key points right there. And I shared, I think it was last week in our Bible study session, that we are currently right now in the process. It's one of the things I've asked Sister Powell to focus on. You know, we hired a website developer, and he's really good. I've worked with him for years. But we are in the throes, even as I speak, of revamping our website and just really, making it do all what it needs to do. Yeah, making it do what it do. Yeah. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary. Because as the author just said, your website is your front door. It's your front door.
Number 6, poor signage. If you have been attending your church a few weeks, you don't need signage, but guests do. And they get frustrated when they don't have clear directional signage for parking, for the entrance to the worship center, for the children's area, and others. We will look at this issue more fully in chapter 3 as well. Number 7, inside the church language.
Let's lean in a little closer as we read this. Listen to this.
Listen to the words in the worship service of your church. Listen to the announcements. Listen to the sermon. Listen to the casual conversation. Are members saying things that a first-time guest would not understand? Well, that's what church guests told us. They said they left some churches thinking that much of the language was foreign and filled with acronyms.
Let's stop right there. And when I came across this truth a few years ago, it was shortly after I started pastoring. It shocked me because this truth is not just applicable for guests, but it's extremely applicable for new converts. Those of us who grew up in church, been in church all of our lives, oftentimes we use words that new converts, Erica, have no idea as to what we're talking about. Let's talk through a few examples. To my far left right here, who can give us a good church word that you just really only know what this is if you grew up in church? Mel, what's on your mind? Go ahead. No, that's we know great. Well, you know what? You're right. That is, thank you. Why do you call that praise?
Why you call that praise and worship is a good example.
I'm looking for one of those more rustic, if you will, church words.
Talking good.
Huh?
Talking good.
Talking good. So there you go. That's inside church lingo, right? So a new convert, they hear you say, "Oh man, you talking good." They're like, what is that mean? Say it, yeah. And like, what's a rustic? You got a rustic?
Yeah, well, many of y'all know I got saved right here at the beginning. This is more than my only pastor. I had no church background. This was everything I learned here.
Yes.
When people would go, like preachers would go, you know the story. Like,
and so you sit there saying what? I don't know the story.
You know, they be talking, telling the story like, you know the story.
Oh, oh, we're guilty. That's a good one. That's a good one. How many of y'all, how many of y'all had to sit on the mourner's bench? Ready to sit on the mourner's bench? All right, now put your hand. How many of y'all don't even know what the mourner's bench is? Look. And these are hands of people, y'all been in church. Does that mean you don't know what the mourner's bench is? Well, no, that's not the mourner's bench. But, all right, hold on, one more time. How many of you had to sit on the mourner's bench? Okay, hands down. How many of you don't even know what the mourner's bench is? Wow. Oh, you don't know what the mourner's bench is? Have you ever even heard that term? But you don't know what it is. See, that's, all right. Again, we are guilty of using terms and words that other people like. I don't know if that's about. I'm gonna come to you with that. I see. I got you. And Elder Diane said, to say, you know the story. I said, no, I don't know the story. Mourner's bench, back in the day, I just kind of know about it. I'm one of those things. I feel like my mother gave birth to me. That's all I ever known in my life. So now I didn't personally sit on the mourner's bench, but back in the day, if you were yet to make a public confession in terms of your salvation, when revival came around, everybody who wasn't saved, now you didn't sit back there in the back of the church on their phone, their cars. No, they didn't have phones back then. No, you had to go sit up front. And they call that the mourner's bench. Did I get it right, Pete? And you sit there. Well, no, that's another term. That's another term. Now, yeah. All right. Oh, we get ready to have some fun. But we're close to wrapping up. All right. Here's another one. How many of you, well, okay, yeah, I'm gonna ask it that way. How many of you had to tarry? Don't tell it all right now. Now, you tell me, wait a minute, you get ahead of me. How many of y'all had to, okay, put your hands in. How many of y'all know what tarrying is? No, do know what it is. Okay, hands down. How many of y'all don't even have a clue as to what it means to tarry? See? Now, and that was a term that really came out of an apostolic circle. That's, see, but we might go down a road now. We don't really have time for that. But a lot of apostolics, matter of fact, some of them still to this day, they really got the talent for the Holy Ghost. You don't just come up, give your life to the Lord, and you say, no, you got the talent, you got the altar, calling on Jesus. Now, and I'm afforded the privilege to, and years ago this wasn't the case, but now we're much better. As I engage in conversation. Say you grew up apostolic?
No, I'm still back to college.
Okay.
I got around the
Gotcha. I got you. I just saw it in your hand. But now, like I'll talk with a lot of my apostolic Pentecostal colleagues, and they've gotten away from that tradition. Matter of fact, we believe, and it is theologically sound, that when you accept Jesus Christ, you receive the baptism of the Holy Spirit, and in your acceptance of Him. Now, there's one baptism, but there are many fillings. There are many fillings. But years ago, that's, as a matter of fact, a lot of that even had to do with the whole birthing of full gospel as we know it now. But that's a whole other session. But, you know, the Pentecostals and Melanie, she grew up in a Baptist church, but you had a pastor who had a deep Pentecostal persuasion in Baltimore. And so, you know, they were at a Baptist church, but he had a tarry. And if you ever witnessed a hardcore apostolic tarrying service, listen, it'll blow your mind. It really will. Like, what in the world? My grandparents were Pentecostal, and as a boy, I would go to church with them periodically. And man, when they had tarrying service, it was something. It was something else. Yeah, it was long. They be in there all night. You know, but I'm old folk, they weren't gonna let you up on that altar till they thought you were filled. They said, "Oh, he got it now. He got it. He got it. He got it." But as a matter of fact, I've heard some of my friends who grew up Pentecostal. It's like, man, they made us call on Jesus so long until I just started doing something. He said, man, it had nothing to do with the Holy Ghost. He said, I just ready to get up from this. So I just started doing something. And they said, oh yeah, he got it now. Yeah, true. Very true. Very true. Very true. So we are guilty, if we're wrapping up. We're guilty. And I had to, I promise you, I had to do a reset in terms of my vernacular. Because I've grown up in church, and there's just something that I know I understand, and I just assume that everybody knows the story. And you have to be very careful. A lot of times I'm engaged in conversation with my wife about what she's doing at work, something in the education realm, and she'll throw out these acronyms. I'm like, whoa. What that mean? So I don't work in that world. I don't live in that world. I understand the concept of what she's saying, but when she uses an acronym, it's foreign to me. So, you know, we're going to be fishermen of men. We have to make sure that you're using tackle that's going to catch you. Okay? Yeah. And your vernacular, that's in your tackle box. All right, it's 8:27. We're scheduled to be out of here. The lights going to go off at 8 now. Here's what we're going to do. Our last 3 minutes. I'm going to pray. No, I'm going to have let's see. Tony, right? Our security guy. Yeah. Tony's been working security here at New Beginning for how long now? About a year now? Yeah, I did a little research on you. I asked questions. But it's my understanding you work, this is no condemnation to the state at all. You've been working here and seem to really enjoy it. You're not a member of it. Yeah. You start to look like us, though. I just want to take it. Okay. Tony's going to come up and close us out in the word of prayer. And then after which, that's not too much pressure on you. After which, we're going to take the next 6 minutes. Do not run to your, no. But your holy hug. Tracy, we'll get you another one next week, all right? Don't run to your holy hug. Here's what I want you to do. As soon as we dismiss, find somebody who you don't know, or or somebody that you've been seeing here at the church for years, but you really kind of don't know them. And I want you to take the next 6 minutes and get to know them better. And chances are, you'll get an opportunity to share a little bit about them on next week, the way Deacon Carmichael did tonight. Tony, in your own way, man. Come on, man. Let's give Tony a great big hand. How many of you guys knew that Tony was one of our security officers? One. How many of you have ever after church said, Tony, you know what? I appreciate what you do for us. Okay, wonderful. Yeah. Now, I asked you to speak to him. But this man, he put his life on the line for us. So now when we sing it, what we're gonna say? Thank you, Tony. Come on, close us out.
Glory to God. Thanks for being in my life, God, for this man of knowledge, wisdom, and says, how you can see his heart is sought out, God, and we appreciate his moments for us. And he feeds us all. And the Bible says, the Son of God has showed himself to me, and that's devotion to him. Service has become my everyday way of life. And that's something we definitely need to stand on and then use that to describe it. Lord, Heavenly Father, we come to you from humble heart and our head. Thank you as we go into the summer season, as your mama, as they travel to visit family and friends, and they are safe through the summer months. Thank you for this great ministry, this Sunday night service, this inspirational. We are learning, and we just strive to be better. God, so may all of us strive to have our desire after God. We have to sort out our own heart. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Tony slipped a little sermon in there before we prayed. Yeah, I want you to pray that. Slipped a little sermon in there real quick. All right, let us all stand. Thank you so much, Tony. Take the next 6 minutes. Find somebody you don't know. And don't be embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed about it. Okay? Don't be embarrassed. Okay? Don't go to your holy huddle. I need you to go find somebody in the Bible. All right. Come on, take the next 6 minutes.